accomplish that. I know you're all...
As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, as a symbol, I can be incorruptible.
He gave us a signal.
Where are you?
Something elemental, something terrifying.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to another installment of CaveCast, where we take an academic approach to the world and lore of Batman. With me, I have my panelists. We got Drunken Emerald Arrow making a return to the show. How you doing today?
Doing well. Ready to talk about the Batcave and Wayne Manor.
Excellent. And first timer on the show, buddy of mine, Iron Oxide. How you feeling, pal?
Oh, man, I'm excited to be here. I do apologize. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm going to push through. I've been looking forward to this whole week.
Well, we are happy to have you. Let's jump in the chat. We're starting to get some people pouring in right now. And we're only 2 minutes in, so that's great. We have William Bly or Warren Bly. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? That's just like the sound of it. It's something I say to all of my victims. Thank you. First one in. Jake Martin, good to see you. We already knew he was going to be here because he's on the show.
Yeah.
Mrs. Three-Peat, how are you, dear? My angel. She made me chocolate chip waffles this morning.
Oh, dang.
Everybody's favorite pup. How you doing, Scooby Pup? Rick, good to see you. Joker, I always wanted to tour the famed Batcave. Arkham weekend release wouldn't allow it. Well, hopefully one day we'll get there. Maybe we can get you a day pass. Yeah, we're gonna get Joker on the show pretty soon here. He's great guy,
Nice.
very knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, and we got this Yahoo, but again, you're already on the show, so that's cheating.
Hello,
guys. Remember, what am I doing? I gotta just add my little ticker banner. Yes, please hit the bat like button, the bat subscribe, and bat share the show, or I will find you. And so let's get into it. The topic of today, the topic of discussion. I know. I'm sorry, Scoob. Yeah, and also happy birthday, dear. I know you know that's your birthday stream, but it is it's my nephew's birthday, so I'm not going to disappoint a 7-year-old. So I have to go watch him make faces at me because I didn't buy him like a Minecraft gift or whatever IP he's into at the current moment. But let's see. The topic of discussion for today is Wayne Manor and the Batcave. So, opening thoughts on Wayne Manor and the Batcave. Let's start with Wayne Manor. I think it was born. I think it was built in the 1800s. It was just outside of Gotham City. It's Bruce Wayne's ancestral home. Obviously where Bruce Wayne lives, where Alfred lives, any one of the Robins at any given time. There's been plenty of renovations and upgrades through the years. And, there's plenty of different ways to get into the Batcave in different media. And I can't wait to get to that. But your guys' opening thoughts on Wayne Manor.
Overall, I mean, it's understandable of him living in a mansion. I mean, it's great that it keeps it outside of the city, definitely away from the crime and everything else, and kind of that buffer zone a little bit. The fact that it is a family ancestral home that is just always been within the family itself, so everyone knows, and it again helps with the secret identity of Batman, with Bruce Wayne, but it also helps with the keeping the secret because he's not in a loft in Gotham.
Right. And the fact that it's even though it's a massive mansion from like the 19th century, it's still unassuming because of its age. It's always kind of just been a landmark in Gotham. So they wouldn't assume too much if you suspend, a little bit of disbelief there. And a lot of they've through the comic books and different, interpretations, they would add more mystery just to the mansion itself and how it really just happened to accommodate what he wanted to do with it later on perfectly. So when written right, there's a lot of great lore there that they can take from.
And I misspoke. It was built in the 1700s because one of the things that part of the lore is it was apparently a stop on the Underground Railroad, which at the time doesn't really make sense because like it's on this island just outside of New Jersey. Like I would assume if you've gotten that far north, like you would probably made it. Like you're out of the South, right? You're free. I don't think doesn't matter. This doesn't have to, this is an Underground Railroad cast. I'm just saying. But yes, I agree with both of you. I think the most it kind of adds to Bruce Wayne's character and it removes him from Gotham and it makes Bruce Wayne like this kind of Prince of Gotham figure, but at the same time it's also like, why aren't we looking at this rich billionaire who has this mansion just outside of the city and who actually has the funds to be Batman? So it's kind of like a yes and no. It adds to the lore, but you do have to suspend some disbelief where it was like, oh, I wonder where this Bat fellow keeps getting all the funds to do all these things. Has no one looked at the millionaire on the hill?
Right.
No, we don't look into him because no, he's too unassuming. I mean, later in movies they play him up as a playboy that would be so detached from actually doing what's right to actually be a crime fighter.
Yes, exactly. Or sometimes they play him as like a Howard Hughes character where he's
reclusive.
He's crazy. He's just a very private man.
I'm sure in that Wayne Manor, there's an entire room full of jars full of pee. I mean, he is just that so reclusive. I mean,
sun tea. No, and they and also until I see some other people in the chat, there is an angry fat lady in front of Boosh at the grocery store, and I'm just gonna keep that there because that makes me happy. But yeah, I mean, there should always be certain things in Wayne Manor for me. One of them is, there should be family portraits of the Waynes, not just Thomas and Martha. Just what is it? What is it? Mad Anthony Wayne is like the one who's actually like a real life figure. He did fight in the Revolutionary War. There's a lot of Batman comics that kind of say that he is the reason that he was allotted as a lot of Revolutionary War heroes were. They were allotted land after for their service to the Continental Army and all that, so that it would make sense that he would have this, but they were also well off just because of the Waynes were pretty well-to-do family, one of Gotham's founding families. So also there's the Wayne Foundation, Wayne Enterprises, Wayne Tech. There's all these different companies. There's a reason that this man is uber rich. So there should be that. I always like every now and then you see it. You more than likely see it in the Batcave now, but it's nice to see if there's like some sort of like a medical ward or anything, just because Thomas Wayne was a doctor.
Right.
I always like an armory room, like a room filled with like suits of armor. It's Japanese. How do you know? I bought it in Japan.
I will say that that is, if talking just about Wayne Manor in general, and especially talking about movie wise, I do like that they play in the 89 Batman where Bruce, in him attempting to flirt, at the whole point of going, I don't even think I've even been in this room before.
Yeah,
I mean, it's such a large place. I live alone, except for with Alfred.
Do you guys really feel like you'd never been in that room before? Or is that just like an excellent pickup line?
I think it's
an excellent line. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna know every in and out of the house, as big as it is anyway. Would he go in that room for any other reason, just to know where it is? Not really.
No. He had that.
I think one of my favorite lines.
We're gonna push the chairs together, and break decorum, and that's how you woo Vicky Vale.
I think my favorite line from that, and it's right in that same scene, is that some of the house is very much me, some of it isn't. It's
yes.
Yes. Well, that could also be playing into the fact that the other parts that are not him, I see it also as the whole point of leaving it like his parents, so that is not him, and left it their style, but then the rest of it is definitely him.
Yeah, I
think it also is. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, but to that,
I was going to say,
I like that he leaves certain things that reminds him of his parents. I don't like what they did in Batman Begins, where he's not sleeping in the master bedroom or anything like that. No,
and it showed him he had some resentment and anger in Batman Begins. He was like, if he had, before he became Batman, if I had my way, I could tear it down brick for brick. And then by the end is when he appreciates.
After it was torn down brick for brick.
He kind of goes full circle, wanting to rip it down brick by brick, to wanting to rebuild it the way exactly how it was, brick by brick.
I don't like that aspect. I don't like when they did it in the Batman either. I don't like when you and they also did it in Batman v Superman. I don't like it when you knock down Wayne Manor.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because it's almost
if you're going to, you can even have a fire or whatever, because then you can have Alfred, him look to Alfred and go, I think we're gonna make some renovations, or something like that. Don't knock down the whole damn house. It's too big of a part of the lore to just go. I don't like when Batman is living in Wayne Tower, and I know that is something that happened in the comics. Where because Wayne Tower is like in the center of the city, and it's probably a better place for Batman to operate. I don't like it. I like the billionaire on the hill. He's got to make the trip. Sorry, it's better.
Either the red phone call coming in for help, or the bat signal in the sky.
Or both. I hope one day that we get to see like all three. I mean, because there's so many, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Like your favorite way to call Batman. Mine, or we can just get into it now, because I think we are zooming around, but that's why I always like to have multiple ones. Obviously, we're going to talk a hell of a lot more about the cave than we are Wayne Manor, but okay, your favorite way to call Batman. I think mine is in Batman Returns, when all those mirrors.
Yes.
That is this, even though it's like the most Burton-esque way to call Batman, it's I just think it's so cool. Just the little mirrors, and all of a sudden there's like a giant reflection.
Shines the bat symbol.
Oh,
that is actually my favorite scene of that entire movie.
It might be mine as well.
I still get goosebumps every time I watch that scene. That is, and without even having to speak, that is the most Batman Michael Keaton was in his
Tenure.
now 3-film run as the character.
Yeah, there's another scene in that his most Batman is with Christopher Walken, where he's like, you're not just saving a man, you're not just saving a city, or you're not just saving a man, you're saving a city, and he like pushes him in the face and goes, shut up, you're going to jail. And I was like, oh, that's Batman.
Yeah.
Like, that's what breaks my heart the most about Keaton's run, and why they didn't come back for a third, because McDonald's was pissed, because they decided to make this film have like a Happy Meal tie-in. Probably not the best, but for Batman, I feel like Keaton really started to get his stride as the character, and they were going to explore his origins a little bit more. In the third one, we could have gotten what's his face, Robin Williams as the Riddler, and we probably would have gotten Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, which would have been very interesting.
I would have loved to see that. I think a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, what's his face? Tommy Lee Jones was just a big missed opportunity, because he could have played a very great Two-Face. It was just how he was directed, where he started trying to mimic Jim Carrey's energy and kind of doing this weird impression of Jack Nicholson, when, like I said, the best way that he should have did it is if he would have played Harvey Dent, kind of like he did Agent K from Men in Black, and just
yes,
well, let's just see what the coin says. Like that would have been a much better, and having a straight man to Jim Carrey's Riddler would have just been a better dynamic, considering it's all about duality. And you have the more bombastic character, you need kind of a straight man, and then there was no straight man. There was just two insane characters just bopping around,
and that character was never that. He was always one of the more serious of the villains.
Yeah, I mean, just we covered this last week, just very emotionally checked out, because besides a lot of earlier interpretations where he would flip the coin, and if he got good heads, he would do something good, and if he got bad heads, he would do something bad. And then, that eventually evolved into he is so emotionally damaged when he flips that coin, he doesn't know what to do. So that's why he flips the coin. So he wouldn't be emotional about anything, because like it's not up to him to decide, and the probably the best use of that is in The Dark Knight, when he's in the limo and he's like, I'm not going to shoot you, I'm going to shoot your driver. Like he plays that very deadpan, and that's why it's so effective. And that's that's how it should work. What does old Jakey have to say? Yeah, exactly. In hindsight, Keaton had the vibe down. A credit to his ability. It truly is.
Right.
Oh, Alyssa, thank you for dropping in. Emotional damage. Let's see. And Two-Face was banging Poison Ivy. He was doing something right. Yeah. Or wrong. I was like, I have a feeling you might get quite itchy if you spend the night with Pamela Isley. But who am I?
No, definitely more to say when we get to the Rogues Gallery breakdown. On Two-Face, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, because we had, I mean, Two-Face is going to get his own episode. All the big rogues are going to get their own episode. There's just too much to cover. I mean, I don't even know if we'd be able to cover Clayface in one episode, because there's so many of them. Right. There's 5 iterations of the character. I think maybe more at this point. But enough about that. We still got to start talking. We got to start talking about.
Briefly with the best way to call Batman. While that is a great scene and stuff like that, practicality. If he's having a dinner party and that's occurring, that might be just not as great of a signaling to have all of that. I mean,
well, that's only when he's in the cave, Yeah. Okay, yeah. When he's having a dinner party, it's Alfred all the way, right? You know.
Yeah.
But I did like the Dick Tracy thing in Batman Forever. It was like, no, sir, the other car.
Oh.
But yeah, Michael Gough is my quintessential Alfred. He's I do like Michael Caine. I don't remember who the actor was from the 1960s television show. He was good. They've all been good. The only one that even though it makes the most sense nowadays is probably how he's handled in the Batman, is where he was more of like head of security. There's not a lot of
Right.
butlers buttling about these days. But
And they definitely took from Batman Earth One, which had a great new take on Alfred, where as Thomas Wayne's running for mayor, that's why he recruited Alfred, who he knew from the
Yes.
military. And so while he pretended to be a butler, his actual duties were security.
And that makes sense. That's one of the things that I didn't like the most about the Batman was just the relationship between Alfred and Bruce Wayne, where he kind of treats Alfred like shit.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite is Alfred wakes up in a hospital bed after just being like blown up, and Bruce is just sitting there with his guy liner on, going like, "You lied to me," and was like, "Oh, really? You little shit? Not how are you feeling? Oh, I was so worried. Thank you for raising me." Nothing. What are you
No,
gonna do?
they made him weird and autistic and all that. There's some things to like about that movie, but there's a lot to pick apart. But that's for another time, I'm sure. But oh boy.
Yeah.
Now the cave in the Batman, a little more low tech. Didn't hate it.
Yeah, but it also doesn't make sense because I think now is as good a time as any. I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Wayne Foundation penthouse. And these grounds are the regular home of Bruce Wayne. He temporarily vacated into the stories in all the way from the late 60s into the 1980s. It's like a penthouse apartment on top of the Wayne Foundation. It was, like I said, I do not like this. And he came to that decision when Dick Grayson went off to college, and he thought that the manor seemed a little empty, and it was easier just to operate in Gotham because it's in the center of the city. It was like it was by the early 80s he went back to Wayne Manor, but yeah, so that's pretty much how it's portrayed in I don't even know what they're doing in Batman v Superman. He just seems to have another kind of house on the grounds of Wayne Manor that he's left to squalor pretty much, which I always hated that. That is by far the worst. Where like I could see him not living in the house. I don't see him letting it just go to complete disarray. That's his family home. He is proud of his legacy. There's a lot of things that show up, especially in like Court of Owls, and like we see it in the Batman, where questions about his father and his mother that might come up. I mean, there's a big part in Bruce's character when any of those things come into question. So I don't see him leaving Wayne Manor to squalor like that. But that's
Agreed.
pretty much how it's portrayed in the Batman, where he's kind of like living in a clock tower. It almost appears, and that's why the cave kind of doesn't make sense. Is that's supposed to be below Wayne Manor. So I don't know. But
I can understand using the penthouse if he's already in town and have a reserve and a setup already there in town to actually live there. Don't like that they did that. I think definitely it's a stronger character move to have him living at Wayne Manor with the Bat Cave underneath. And yes, you can have an arsenal set up somewhere in the city because again, you're not always just going to be at Wayne Manor. So in the case of Wayne Enterprises, already having having an arsenal and be able to and then get into action from that location, I have no problem with. You start moving like that with Batman, now you're turning him into Green Arrow, who lives in the city, who is doing that stuff, and it's like that kind of deviates away from the character, I think, and the way the character should be of living there at Wayne Manor, being a little bit more out of the way, less. Keeping a lot less focus on you being in the city so much, and then having Batman that's also flying around. You can keep them a little bit more distant.
But in different interpretations.
And he's always had auxiliary caves throughout the city, or just like surpluses, caches, if you will. Because it would make sense that eventually you're gonna run out of batarangs at some point in time. You kind of got a team, or you need medical supplies, whatever, mind you. But obviously the base of operations should be the cave, or if you're getting into some of those stories, someplace below Wayne Tower. But as a nice, funny little, or not maybe funny transition here, because there is Wayne Manor, we have this nice little floor plan here. Over the years, we have seen some wonderful ways that Bruce Wayne enters the Batcave, whether it be fireman pole, or hitting a thing on the piano, or what is it, a statue of Shakespeare. You hit his nice little button. There's one I always liked, also in Batman Returns. There's the button, the aquarium, the little fish tank. There's
an Iron Maiden that he climbs into.
The Iron Maiden. There's the insane in Batman Forever chair, and then he goes into like this pod that is okay. I can understand we're supposed to suspend some disbelief. That one was the wildest one, because it was like, you're meaning to tell me there's a contractor who built a tunnel all the way from Wayne Tower to the Batcave on the outskirts of Gotham. And I was like, well, what's this tube going to be for? It was like, I don't know. I really like water slides.
Right.
There's no practical. I wish I could pull up the video, but it's Warner Brothers and they would flag it immediately. But yes, there's that. There's a couple other ones. I think in Batman Begins, it's just kind of like an elevator. That's where they talk about the Underground Railroad connection.
Right.
I'm trying to think what it was in the animated series.
They had a couple different ones. There was the grandfather clock.
Yes.
Let's see. I remember there was another one, and actually from like the New Adventures, they kind of tweaked it up a little bit, but I would have to find that clip to know exactly what it was. See, I'm glad you mentioned the contractors, because that's an argument that's been going around since Batman's pretty much existed in modern times. It's like, how would you build any of this? Because what did he do? Kill all the contractors afterwards? They would know exactly what's going on. And they have made some pretty decent excuses for it. Either people that he can trust enough. There was at one time, it was crazy. There was the blind guy that was kind of working and running the cave for a while. And I'm glad that didn't last too long.
Well, that's why when it comes to the cave itself, I like the design that essentially it's just something that's in a cave. It's not all nice and walled up and it looks like it's been over constructed. No, it's some platforms in a cave with stuff on it, and you got some electrical that's running in. and now you have your computer setups, you have your investigation tables, you have that type of stuff just sitting there in the middle of the cave.
I
That
think
And
makes
it
more
was
sense.
something that was always there. It was
yeah, no, I think
already
it was
there.
Greg Rucka
Yeah.
or Denny or Neil. I can't remember who said it, but basically, and this is like speculation on their part, but also they have had some pretty big contributions to Batman over the years, where they said he hired people to do like parts of the job where you couldn't. If you did the whole thing, you would go, "Hey, this is kind of weird." But when you hire them to just only do a portion, they're like, "Well, he had us lay down pipe for this, and then they didn't ask us to do anything else." And then it was like, "Well, they had us for pour the concrete on this, but we didn't see what the finished product was." Either way, even if you had that, you would still have a bunch of people going like, "Well, I did this, I did this, I did this." What could that possibly be for other than underground launch pad that comes out of a cave, or you know what I mean? You have to,
Rich
or
guy
gets
sex
played off as,
dungeon.
or it gets played off as, oh, it's just another insane billionaire that's just trying to build a bunker that to
Yes.
survive the apocalypse.
I'm looking for better ways to store my pee. You have to. Let's see. Yes,
Now, I think my least liked cave was actually from one of my favorite live action Batman movies, and that's The Dark Knight. I didn't dig the sterile white container cave. It
where
wasn't
it
a
looked
cave.
just like the penthouse, and it had that one like rogue Batman suit cabinet. Yeah, it was like I did like it in the first one where where the bat suit was like in an armoire, and you're like, oh, all right, that's a little. You brought a little bit of furniture from the mansion to put your special bat suit in. That's adorable.
I mean, why wouldn't you? You already got the armoire.
So it explains the ever-growing bat family. Cheap child labor. I told you Batsy was a jerk. But yeah.
No, it explains why he's gone through so many Robins, right?
Yeah. Rob, I can't wait till we have like the Robin discussion, because there's so many things about Robin that are wonderful, and there's so many things about Robin that are just, even though the whole thing is outlandish, that just take it to 11 in outlandishness, where it was like, you know what, I want to make a difference. I'm gonna be this ninja that's meant to scare everybody, and then I'm gonna have this little boy in a circus outfit in bright colors.
Drawing the gunfire.
yeah. Shoot at the boy. Shoot at the boy.
Not me, him.
Oh, come on now. The crowbar. All right, so I think we danced around this enough. We're at half past the hour. Let's get into the main topic of discussion, and that would be La Cave. The cave is obviously one of the most important parts in Batman's lore. Some notable items, obviously, the Bat computer, the Batmobile, which will be next week's topic of discussion, is the Batmobile, the Bat Cycle, the Batwing. Although I'm probably gonna, to be honest, because like even this, we only got a half hour in just talking about Wayne Manor. I assume we're gonna talk a little bit more about the cave. None of these are probably going to be as long as last week, where we discussed Bruce Wayne, Batman, and the duality of the character, and how certain villains are dark reflections. So I'm probably going to group everything in of like Batman's gadgets. So it's probably going to be Batman's gadgets, but I'm going to make it about the Batmobile. Will be the title of discussion, and then we'll get to the utility belt, all that other stuff. But either way, so I said the Bat Computer, the Batmobile, the Bat Cycle, the Bat Wing, trophies that always seem to end up in the Batmobile would obviously be the T-Rex statue. There's usually a giant Joker card, a giant penny, Penguin's umbrella, and costume of fallen rogues and fallen allies. There's usually a training area, an R&D lab, a library. Sometimes you'll see the Wayne family crypt, various hidden entrances. There's usually like a medical ward or some sort, emergency background systems, and like gadget storage. So those are the things that are usually found in, at least in the comics. Some sort of science lab, which I would just say would probably be the R&D lab. But those are things that are usually found in every iteration, besides, like we said, the worst one in The Dark Knight, where it was just kind of, and even then you had those bare essentials, you just didn't have the trophies. I understand in a lot of like in the Tim Burton movies, like he hadn't gone far enough into the lore to acquire the trophies or anything like that, but we've yet to see in film a kind of a comic accurate Batcave. I'd say probably the closest we got was either in Batman Forever or Batman and Robin. We were on the cusp of getting there, but we hadn't quite gotten there yet. Your thoughts, gentlemen? You have a favorite Batcave or something that you think is essential to having a good Batcave?
Well, we're looking
Absolutely.
at go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, I was going to say, one of the other things that you'll see in a lot of iterations, he'll have Joe Chill's handgun that was used to kill his parents in a glass case, usually near the computer. I like when that's included, especially they can sometimes use it for story elements as well.
And good call from Rick. There usually is a bat backup generator.
Oh, yeah.
And hey, Nadia, thanks for stopping in. And guys, after this show, please be sure to jump right into Horror with Nads. She's got a wonderful channel and the best. But please continue.
Oh, I was Emerald. If you want to go.
With the initial, I do like the Batman Begins cave. I mean, the starting out and actually forming it, where, I mean, you could have had and could have grown it from that point, but instead then went to the sterile under, essentially looks like under almost like the skyscraper, sterile, in the sense that it's an actual cave that's sitting there that's just being used around and putting the stuff in it, which would keep out the contractors and keeps it a little bit more secluded in that kind of way.
Well, that's one of the biggest missed opportunities in the Nolan movies, is because they hint at it at the end of
Begins.
Batman Begins, where he's like, well, we could make some renovations under the West Wing. And so you assume that and then all of a sudden they cut to, which makes sense in The Dark Knight, and then Alfred comes out and like, very nice when Wayne man is rebuilt. You can go from not sleeping into a penthouse to not sleeping in a mansion. And you have she's still traveling. Oh, well, enjoy your travels. Oh, no stream. Yep, sorry. Disregard, everyone. Disregard.
But still go subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, exactly. Still like, show her some love. Do it anyway. Just watch. After we're done, just click on one of her videos. How's that? And then
yeah, definitely it was a missed opportunity with the continuing with Nolan. Overall, I do like the Batcave from Batman Forever. When it comes to live action, I do agree that no live action movie wise has gotten it accurate. Definitely gotten close. Then you have just the humorous and really the campy TV show Adam West Batcave.
Right, but that's an
yeah.
iconic Batcave
But
in
that-
itself.
yes,
That,
exactly.
that is an amazing Batcave. I love like the Bat computer would always give you like a CVS receipt of clicker tape.
Yeah.
You know,
I think live action mine
everything
would
was
have to
atomic
be
powered. You know, like the
Right.
Batcave was atomic powered. The Batmobile was atomic powered. You know, very 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 Silver Age.
Mhm.
You know, and now we've gotten to a point where the Batmobile basically flies at this point. There's no difference between the Batwing and the Batmobile. It's basically the Fantastic car.
Mhm.
As did I, Rick. As did I.
For live action, it would be between the Batman Begins and the Tim Burton, the original from '89. I liked that one, because it's just so hard to get a comic accurate and make it look right.
Yeah.
Now my favorite, just non-comic book iteration at all is the animated series. I think that they knocked it out of the park, hands down. That was the Cave, but that's, in my opinion, probably the best non-comic interpretation of Batman that we've ever gotten, probably ever will get.
Okay, one thing that I really adore about the Schumacher Batcave, one thing I did want to touch on too is it had this intruder alert, and I could never understand what the intruder alert was saying, because it sounded like it said intruder incoming, intruder incoming, intruder, and it was like, just say intruder. But my favorite thing that they ever did is, I think it's at the end of Batman Forever. You know, obviously the Batmobile is destroyed in very comic fashion by Jim Carrey's Riddler, with the bouncing bat bombs, which felt very on brand. But when the Batwing comes down, you realize it's been hanging from the ceiling upside down like a bat, and I was just like, that's so dope, but it's so completely
impractical.
It's the dumbest way to store a plane. But
well, it's a bat. I mean, the Batwing, it flies, so it would be, of course, suspended from the cave ceiling. Duh.
Yeah, of course.
That's one of the other problems with the Cave itself, is they've gone on and added so much more to it. I mean, the Cave would be practically half the size of Gotham to carry, all of a whole fleet of military grade vehicles.
He has this giant mansion, and then he has I guess like a stadium under that.
Right.
It was like you wouldn't be able to put a giant mansion on top of all that. The reinforcement would be like a feat of architecture man has yet to perfect. There's also certain things. The one thing that always bugged me about the Tim Burton Batcave was the little platform. Even though it was really cool that it would spin the Batmobile around, that is the most unforgiving driveway, where it's just like a drop on either side, for which looks to be a very difficult to maneuver length car. It's like you're basically driving a boat, and then you have this very curvy pathway with a bottomless pit on either side. And then you're like, well, no, all he has to do is drive forward, and the platform.
It's a lazy Susan. It turns into
lazy Susan's the Batmobile. But it was like, you might want to make it like a little bit wider. But who am I to say?
But it looks cool.
It looks cool, and it gives that line to him, to Vicky Vale, of "Be careful." Light on.
Yeah.
And she's right at the edge. It's like, okay, so she was one step away from dying, and so.
Well, the way I always kind of envisioned it. Oh, go ahead. Oh,
no.
Real quick, I always just kind of figured, like I was saying before, a lot of that shit was just kind of already there, and he just modified it himself for very limited assistance to just the existing architecture, and you just kind of had to make shit work. And that's how at least I justified it in my mind.
I would agree. That's definitely what I think they were doing, especially with the Tim Burton ones, because it's essentially just platforms that have been bolted into the side of the rock faces and just ladders going in between. And I mean, now I think that's a very much more relatable, down to earth type of instead, and less having to go into the suspension of disbelief. That at least makes a little bit more sense in a realistic world.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, you're going with the natural topography of the cave, and you're making the best with what you have, and but also Batman put up some fucking safety rails, maybe. Even here, which is supposed to just be a very modern depiction of the cave. That's obviously Damian Wayne right there. Come on. Now, I know that you have like grappling hooks and shit, but like, every now and then you do get a tourist in the Batcave.
Your staff consists of an elderly gentleman, at least.
This is an OSHA violation. Okay. But okay,
I could just see that.
While we were talking about the Tim Burton Batcave, I remember we were talking about Tim Burton's, Batman '89, and by far my favorite stupid moment in the Batcave is when he's speaking to Vicky Vale, and he's like, "They're great survivors," and there's all these bats flying around everywhere, and Batman has just this one bat in a cage, and it was like, "Why that special bat? Like, what's so special about that one bat that you put him in a bird cage, and otherwise you have all these other bats just like flying around?"
Well, I think it had an open bottom. I think it was just a perch that he put there. I'd have to rewatch it. I don't remember. Was it locked in there? Or was it just perched? Because a lot of bat cages are actually
it's totally locked in like a Tweety Bird cage.
Well, that one must just be a dick.
And he like picks it up, and he's like, "They're great survivors." And it was like, "Did you name this one? Why is this one so special?"
Except for Steven,
visually,
he bites.
it looks awesome.
Fuck that guy.
and Rick, yes, I also hope that Alfred never gets dementia.
Well, no Robin coming into that one. So actually, that bat was actually named Robin.
Yes.
That's the introduction of Robin into Batman '89.
That actually this would be a great like, and also really depressing like offshoot where Alfred's dementia gets so bad they just have to like put him into a home, but like he keeps spurting out like Batman secrets, and they're like, no, his mind is failing. And he's like, and we had a car that could fly, and he would dress like a bat, and he fought a cloud, and they're like, "Oh, Alfred, no."
Someone's sunsetting.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Wayne. Yeah, we're gonna need more Thorazine for my butler.
I don't know if you did you read The Last Night on Earth?
Is that the one where Damien is the
No.
Which I probably have, but I don't.
On the cover, it's a post-apocalyptic. You see a Batman carrying around Joker's head in a jar that talks. But it opens real interesting because you open to Bruce Wayne waking up in a mental institution, and all of the rogues are actually the hospital staff. And until the story really gets going, it's like, well, that's a different, it did make it interesting. That just talking about a dementia-ridden Alfred kind of reminded me of how that story opened up.
No. Yeah. That's true. At this point, they would have to have a bat Zamboni, picking up all that bat shit.
Again, that's where the Tim Burton one makes a little more sense with it being graded flooring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which really sucks for Barbara Gordon in certain iterations. If
not a weird chair.
The bat chair is not wheelchair accessible. Maybe. He's got some ramps in there, but like I said, this whole place is like a workplace violation. Not great. The Aussie dude who does the fantasy safety inspection shorts. Yes, I would love to see someone cover the Batcave. Hey, we're at 18 likes. Let's see if we can double it before we get to the end. And also, yes, please share this with your friends. Sit your grandparents down and be like, hey, we can finally talk about Batman together. Let Mr. Three-Peat guide you. Three-Peat, the rascal. I need a three-tard army. Everybody, that's your assignment, three-tards. Everybody show your grandparents. If you have grandparents, if not, an aunt, an uncle, really make this a family affair. Because there's guys like Bruce Wayne who have no family and had to build his own. And he had to, just collect little orphans and damaged children to build his own family. And
we just lost a Robin, so off to the orphanage. Hey, you look good.
Oops.
I love the line from Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker in the flashback. He's like, I remember you always got a few extra kids laying around, so I grabbed one.
There's I can't remember which story. It's shortly after Death in the Family. I think it's before Nightfall. Commissioner Gordon is talking with Batman, and he's like, I'm sorry about your son. And Batman was like, he wasn't my son. And then he jumps away, and Commissioner Gordon is, as he always does, disappears before Gordon can get in the last word. And he's looking off and goes, to hell he wasn't. And it's just like, ooh.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Ooh.
Well, it's the detachment that he has to have a little bit.
Yeah. I cannot wait to get into Robin. Let's phrasing. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yikes. That's gonna be a late night stream of talking about getting into Robin.
Generations
Gary
of Batman and Robin.
Even that's bad. No, they're all high school age kids. No. Barbara Gordon, but she was never a Robin. Let's see. Oh yes, Robin makes sure the Bat Roomba is charged up. The floor is filthy. There's got to be a Bat Roomba. I still like the Bat Zamboni. Let's see. Yes, thank you, Mrs. Three-Peat. Bat like and Bat subscribe and Bat share. All the bats from your Bat Cave. Thank you. Yes, and if you want to be a bat in my cave, then hit the like button and subscribe. Batsy did some hanky panky in that cave. Yes, got to break the place in properly. Yep. If he's not having Vichy Swaz, which is meant to be cold, I do love that little conversation in Batman Returns, and he was like, and I turn around and Vicky Vale's in the Batcave.
Right. Well, that was the scene that pissed off so many people in the first movie. Was like, what the hell? Alfred just let her in there.
You know what? I always
a lot of
say
fans
this,
were going
though.
crazy.
Tim Burton's Batman, they didn't know that there was going to be a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of things that make sense from making it a standalone thing. I mean, because Alfred is just trying to. He's going like, this is a phase. He needs to do this to get over any trauma that he has. Bruce Wayne is kind of a great amalgam of different aspects of the character, but never a full reflection or like a one-for-one interpretation. He's his own kind of character in the Tim Burton Batman. We talked about this last week, where it was like he definitely drops Jack Napier into those chemicals. He does kill people, which Golden Age Batman did kill people. He's just kind of out there doing this kind of, there's more of an adventure aspect. He's kind of like an Indiana Jones type, more than this beacon of moral, like this moral standard that most heroes like look up to. No, he's none of that. He's a guy on the road to revenge, and he's got a bunch of money, and he's just out to do his thing, and that's fine. That works. But that's the reason that they killed the Joker. is because they didn't know that they were going to have an opportunity to bring him back. You know, that's
right.
and that started a trend that I think is very, very poor in all superhero movies. Is, you know,
killing
guys,
the bad guy.
we live in a franchise.
Horrible.
You know, we live in a franchise era where, like, if you have one and it's successful, you're gonna get a sequel. Stop killing these guys. You know, because
exactly.
I love nothing more than to see like the Joker just like sitting in Arkham. You know, that's it's great.
The
No, you know,
final
when,
shot of the movie.
Yeah,
Him sitting in Arkham.
That was again one of the things I think would really was irritating with the end of The Dark Knight was the fact they killed Harvey. You could what I didn't like that. They brought him in for such a short period of time that they could have really played with his character in the third movie.
It was done to move the story forward.
I don't think that's
why they did it, and they did great with the Joker.
I love Ben Affleck's interpretation of Batman. It's everything that Zack Snyder did with Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck that I didn't really like, besides the warehouse scene, because the warehouse scene is fucking goated.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, there's something about, you know, when they, you know, when you're walking through Arkham Asylum and you see all the rogues gallery kind of like in their you know, prisoner uniforms, there's something to be said like, oh shit, they're all there. This problem isn't actually solved because Arkham Asylum and Blackgate prison is basically has like a revolving door on it, and these guys are going to be back out in the streets in a couple weeks. That's just, you know, that's just part of the fun. When you kill these characters off, and also we would have benefited more watching kind of Harvey Dent come into his full like he wasn't fully Two-Face yet until like the very end of the movie. So having a realized Two-Face sitting in Arkham would have been way more effective than just killing him off. I agree.
It didn't work for the plot that they were going for, and that's the only reason they did that. And that was a shame because you had you had a great actor, you had the right execution, the right tone of the character, and then it was. I mean, at least all of 10 minutes of the movie is all he was in, really.
Yeah, I mean, at least
I do love the end of that though, where he's like, "You don't have to thank me," and Commissioner Gordon's like, "Yes, I do." Like, and this will be the ultimate time to thank you.
I like, at least with Batman Forever, we actually see one of the villains actually get into Arkham Asylum and actually see him at Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, or even in Batman and Robin when you know, they break out Mr. Freeze, you see all the uniforms and costumes of the other Bat villains, and I was like, that's the most we've ever really gotten of that. I mean, maybe besides having like Scarecrow running the trials for Exile in Dark Knight Rises, which was actually supposed to be the Joker anyway. You know, there's a lot to be said of having like the incapacitated villains operating, or not operating, but, you know, just kind of the whole point of Batman is that not the whole point, but like a big aspect of Batman and his lore is that he doesn't kill people. So you should probably show them in the penitentiary or in the asylum, showing that like, hey, he at least got the job done.
But there's still that possible threat of escape, then being another future foil for Batman to attempt to get back on their game, and for Batman to come back in and save the day again.
Right. And another thing, he wants a lot of them to be reformed and recover from their illness. And they execute that perfectly in the animated series, because you see some of them go through, either you would think they're reformed and they're really not, like the case with Poison Ivy. Harley's Holiday is a great example. That's where they started turning the character into more of a wacky anti-hero. But still a great episode. And then my favorite was the one with the ventriloquist, who is reformed and starts thinking that he's actually committing more crimes as Scarface, when it's actually someone else screwing with him.
Was that Rupert Thorne screwing with him? Or
yes, I believe it was Thorne.
Rupert Thorne is someone that I'm shocked doesn't get more play in modern Batman comics, because he actually, especially in the Bronze Age, had like a huge excuse me, like a huge standing. Okay. We will get to the penny. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Yo, Alfred, it's just so big. I've always wondered, what do you what do you think the giant penny worth? Thank you, Jacob.
Shit.
Thank you. Animated film Assault on Arkham does a better depiction of inside. I actually love Assault on Arkham. What I love that Joker line. I think he's talking to Deadshot, and he realizes that he slept with Harley. He's like, "Don't touch my stuff."
That's so good.
It's such an awesome.
That whole era of animated DC was so good. They were just hitting home run after home run. There were only a few that weren't even stinkers. They just, that one was good, but not as good as the rest. But they were all good. And
yeah. Okay, so there is there is a giant penny. That is there. There's a couple iterations of why it's there. I think the first one, it was part of a museum exhibit, and there was a coin-themed criminal by the name of the Penny Plunderer, and he basically confiscated the coin, and he added it to his trophy room. The one that I always remembered it from was from the animated series, where Two-Face ties him to the coin, to the penny, and it's flipping around. He actually uses Two-Face's coin to untie the ropes, and that's why it's there.
From one of the best, I think that's Almost Got Him. Is Almost Got Him one of the best episodes of the whole
I think
series.
it is Almost Got Him, which is one of my favorite episodes, which Bruce Timm himself said he didn't like episodes like that except for that episode, because all of them, it kind of demeans the character, because all of those are standalone villains when you have like a group. So he was basically talking about the one which is based on a comic where Hugo Strange is gonna try and sell the identity of Batman, and then you have the Penguin, Two-Face, and Joker come in and have like a bidding war. Well, all of these because all of those are such big personalities, it felt watered down. You have to water down all those characters, because you can't have all of those big personalities in the room. And I was like, well, no, that's kind of the fun part. But yes, I see Bruce Timm's point. Let's see. It's last penny. Penny. Joker, thanks for hanging out, buddy. Like I said, I'll be in talks. We'll have to get you on here soon. But love you, pal. We'll definitely get you on here. And because like I said, he is just knowledgeable. Now, here's one that I'm actually gonna have to Google, because I have no idea why the T-Rex is down there. Do you guys know?
No, I don't think I do. I'm gonna just be honest, that's always been one of my least favorite aspects of the cave. It just is so out of place and seems
I
so
agree.
pointless.
The penny makes way more sense. The penny makes sense. The like the homage to like Jason Todd and like former iterations of the suit, or of fallen rogues. Like Batman is kind of, Bruce Wayne is a sentimental guy. He likes his keepsakes, and then just having like this giant dinosaur just kind of, because it's not like all of these we could go, okay, this comes from like this well-known stories or like and I love that one of you mentioned that Joe Chill's gun is usually down there as well. It was like there's certain things that shape him, like he regards Jason Todd's death and like as one of his greatest mistakes. So obviously he would have that, because if anybody's good at letting themselves have it, it's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He's not really big on shaking it off. There's nothing about this that goes like, oh man, I really had to learn from this giant dinosaur. Okay, the T-Rex in the Batcave serves as a trophy and a reminder of Batman's accomplishments. It was originally obtained from an adventure on Dinosaur Island, where Batman and Robin encountered an animatronic dinosaur controlled by a criminal. But which criminal? See, that's the thing. Which criminal? Here, we'll do the. I mean, it looks like it's pretty far in the pretty far back in the lore. Let me share screen here. I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it's from like the golden era.
yeah, that might even look like it might be. Yeah, it's Bob Kane right there, which doesn't mean that Bob Kane drew it. Let's be
100%
very
honest
clear
there,
about
yeah.
this.
And then Robin fighting from on his back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that time, that's how Robin spent most of his time. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he was that one. Who was that little guy who was in Dragon Ball who was always hanging out with Yamcha, who always got like knocked out into the other room?
Oh,
And he would just like show up at the end of the episode and be like, "I'm not dead," and everyone's like, "Oh, great."
Tien and I think Chaozu.
Yeah, I think it's Chaozu. I can't remember offhand. No, not Krillin.
Or was the cat, the little cat thingy.
Yeah, no.
Excuse me.
It'll
Yeah, the
come to me
dinosaur.
after
I don't mind when they remove the dinosaur at all. I think it's
no
pretty pointless.
never once have I went like, oh damn, it's not really the Batcave. They don't have
I love the penny.
The penny, because the penny works. Okay, and even with the coin, what is it? The coin crusader or the coin cultivator? I can't remember the name. It was one of those. It's like a condiment man or kite man.
Right.
It's one of those very and that's another episode that
Currency
I can't wait
man
to get into. What?
Currency man?
Yeah, or crazy quilt. We're gonna have a day where we just cover all like the D and F tier villains, because there have been so many through the years, and obviously Condiment Man is my favorite.
Now, when they take a D villain and revamp them and do it the right way, because really you would consider Mr. Freeze before the animated series was still in D class.
Mr. Zero, absolutely.
Yeah, when they revamped his origin story for animated series, and that became the quintessential Mr. Freeze.
Yes,
they did it right.
Yes. And that's one of my favorite things about Batman lore is the evolution of some of these characters. And I was like, yes, and sometimes you'll get these guys who get like a complete glow up, where so you had Mr. Zero, who's very gimmicky, and then all of a sudden he's Mr. Freeze on the show, and he's making and they were all like famous actors at the time. Obviously I my favorite is Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. He's just hilarious. And what Cesar Romero, Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, all these guys understood the assignment. But for some reason
Vincent Price is the egg guy.
Oh yeah, Vincent Price, Egghead. So, there's a bunch. So originally they were going to have Two-Face be on, and that was going to be Clint Eastwood. and they thought it was, and then you'd see like the new Batman adventures, and he's getting more and more, sinister, and then all of a sudden you get Heart of Ice, and you're like, this is how I'll always remember you, surrounded by winter, forever young, forever beautiful. Rest well, my love. The monster who took you from me will soon learn that revenge is a dish best served cold. And like, you're like, where did this come from? Like, when you get a villain that gets like a glow up like that. And I remember there was an interview with Mark Hamill, and he was in the studio when the guy was doing that. And Andrea Romano and the director kept going, like, the guy who was reading it, they kept going like, no, less, give us give us less. This man has to be void of emotion. And it was
it worked like, so well.
Oh, just to be a fly on the wall for that one. I was like, I know that Kevin Smith cries about everything, but like he really got teared up during the interview, like the Heart of Ice episode, and it was like, I don't blame you, because like that is really where the animated series shines the best, is like giving these villains and giving the Rogues Gallery like such a glow. I mean, even like the scene at the end of like Feet of Clay, where Matt Hagen's like freaking out in front of all of the teleprompters and everything. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
And the music, they used very emotionally impactful music for all those episodes. Another great glow up was Clock King. They did him great in the animated.
Oh yeah. Clock King, what's a great one. Now you also have villains that that come out of nowhere, that if they had like Golden or Silver Age origins, they couldn't they couldn't have the glow up, because they just started out great. Like Professor Pig and like the Doll Maker come to mind, where I feel like if they had Silver Age origins. Oh, Sebrew, great example. Calendar Man, once you get to what is it, the Long Halloween, he's now
terrifying.
Yeah, he's like a Hannibal Lecter type character, which is great. Oh, thank you. I don't know how I still have that memorized, but
that was really impressive, man. Right off the cuff, too.
I'm trying to, there's so many good ones. Killer Croc gets a wonderful glow up. Now, Killer Croc, I'm very interested to get into, because he's had so many adaptations over the year. He's kind of like the Penguin, where sometimes he comes across as like a henchman type character, and then other times, or like a very bestial type character, where it was like he's not much of a man at all, especially like when you get into like the Arkham games, where he's just kind of
a dinosaur.
But also, like, when you look in the comics, there's times where he's a crime boss, almost as prevalent as someone like Black Mask.
Yep.
So like it really kind of depends on who's writing. It's the same thing with Solomon Grundy, where sometimes he's very much
character.
Sometimes he's very much a just like a mindless zombie, and other times like he's got his shit together. He's just he's just a low-level crime boss. So it depends. It usually depends on what the standard is at the time, but kind of gotten a little off topic here.
Real quick, you mentioned crying in the animated series, and then Solomon Grundy, that episode of Justice League Unlimited with him and Hawkgirl and the origin of Sirius Gold and everything.
Oh yeah,
holy crap, that one hits.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, all that stuff about the pond and everything, I'm pretty sure that's from Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run.
Yes, that's originally the character was a Swamp Thing and the original Green Lantern villain before.
Alan Scott.
Batman villain.
which it made sense because the reason that there was the yellow impurity for the Silver Age Green Lantern, but Golden Age Green Lantern, his impurity, he had no control over items made of wood, which was great because back in the day, a lot of the henchmen used to carry around like baseball bats and stuff. So that which is actually pretty good, of where you have because what are you going to do against Green Lantern besides, because now they don't even have like the yellow impurity anymore, because that's why like Mongol would be like such a problem, because he's got yellow skin. What are you gonna do? But when you could have this guy have like a giant hammer coming at you, but as long as you have a baseball bat, like you're all right. Like, it kind of evens the playing field a little bit more for like street level henchmen. One of the things about Solomon Grundy is when Cyrus Gold, when his corpse went into the, what is it, murder swamp, or
bog or whatever it was.
Yeah, but it's got like a really crazy name. And well, I guess we can just Google it. Cyrus Gold. I guess I could have typed in Solomon Grundy. Because it has a it has a very specific name. Slaughter Swamp. Thank you. Okay. But it's also very much like pre Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, where he was actually transformed into the swamp creature. His body was destroyed. It's not a plant that thinks he's Alec Holland. It was actually Alec Holland. There was instances in early issues of Swamp Thing where Swamp Thing would turn back into Alec Holland, and it was almost like an Incredible Hulk deal. But because like all of the like wood and things from the swamp kind of infused into Solomon Grundy's body, Green Lantern's ring wouldn't affect him. So what are you gonna do? That's but now he's become like this mystical undead character. Very it really does depend on who's writing him. But back to the cave. I don't know. I think we covered a lot of it. Let's go.
The computer.
Yep.
Computer. Excellent. So
my favorite aspect of the cave by far.
Yes, and it always has to have the biggest fucking screen that you've ever. I love
several of them.
I love, what is that they had those great animated series, that Batman, Superman, Apocalypse, the one where Supergirl first lands and she uses her heat vision to melt the Bat computer, and and Superman's like, I'll pay for it, and he's like on a
no, you won't.
He's like on a journalist salary. I don't think so. But it is the computeriest computer. There should always be like a little box or like sensor that can analyze the chemical makeup of anything. Just like sensors galore. It should be tied into every, like, hacking the CIA or the Pentagon is just like small potatoes. This is like the greatest.
Well, he's got 5 satellites.
Yeah. I mean, it's
fuck Starlink. He's good to go.
And no one notices those satellites because they're just sitting all on top of Wayne Manor, and no one thinks anything of it.
Well, they're actually orbiting. They're but they're probably
the satellite. Well, yeah, satellite dish reception though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's when you get into the crazy like Brother Eye. Leonard, thanks for stopping by, buddy.
That's using the Bruce Wayne aspect of the character and Wayne Industries and the technology that's being developed, and then going and bring it into the Batcave and bring this into the Batcave and centralize all that into one.
What is your favorite like on screen depiction of the computer?
I mean, I really love the 89 multiple monitors.
Monitor, yeah.
Yep.
You know, it's nothing like it should be. But you know, when you start to get into the crazy Dark Knight machine where it was like a million little cell phones, which is probably more accurate to the comic. But yeah, I mean, it's the only one. They do it well in Forever, but the Batman 89 little monitors and everything, it looks the most like a command center. You know, it looks like a place where Bruce Wayne's getting some work done. But let's face it, the animated series has the best bat computer.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's between those two for me. For live action, definitely the Burton, because everything aesthetically down to his chair, man, is just so cool and visually fun to look at. But then close second, well, the best of pretty much everything's the animated series. So yeah,
absolutely.
Even with the Tim Burton Batcave and the Bat computer, is that again it's a little bit more grounded in reality of what would be available. I mean, these really big screens back in the 80s, well, that's not exactly even for rich guys. It's not. I mean, unless you're doing something like a huge screen that you would have at a stadium. But even that, I mean, so it makes more sense to have multiple screens that can be putting out different information on all these different screens. And the way it's all attached to pipes and everything, it's very, I built this. I don't have outside contractors. I assembled this and I put this together and that's what I like about it.
He's also got a CD player that he can scratch a CD like a vinyl record down there.
Because that makes sense.
And that was a good. And you want to know? I will say I do like that scene from the aspect of it's showing Alfred more in a supporting role of actually being part of the Bat team.
Yes, the guy in the chair. You know, and he is and that's something that's totally that's when you first really started seeing. I guess you kind of saw it in the animated or in the 66 television show where sometimes Alfred would like mask up and then he would just like put on like this, you know,
one
like
little like silk scarf mask.
Yeah, like, but he would still just be wearing his tuxedo.
Yeah.
He became Super Butler. But
all Superman needs to do is take off the glasses, and now everyone sees Superman that puts the glasses on and only sees Clark Kent. I mean, that's pretty good for Alfred.
Yeah, it worked. It was it's fun, but yes, that's the first time where you started seeing Alfred like in this you know, because even in the first one, he would kind of like pull up and, you know, he's like, hey, I got food. And you're like, well, what else is he doing in the meantime?
Well, in 89, he did though, because Bruce turns to him and says, hey, I need the entire file on Jack Napier.
Yeah, but that's just like upstairs in his library. You know what I mean? Like, that's true. He's not in you know, Batman Returns. He's actually like sitting behind the computer, helping to hijack the broadcast and everything. It was like you see that there's a little bit more to Alfred other than he's a mean cook and like, you know, he'll pick up your pen if you put it on a potted plant.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in the first one, he is the one who alerts Bruce to Commissioner Gordon has left, sir. Quite unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Oh,
very unexpectedly, sir.
Yeah.
May I suggest the other door?
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah,
that's one of the only things I got right that I liked in the Snyders was Jeremy Irons having a much bigger, much more involved role. I love the line, and that's Alfred. I work for him.
Yes. Or you know, like he's like, you know, I probably can't get into there as Batman, but I think Bruce Wayne can make an appearance. Like he's planning this out with Alfred. Like, you know. And Zach's, great to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping in. Like I said, guys, we're running down to the end here, but please hit that like button and subscribe. Share the show, let everybody know. Alfred is definitely one of those characters who gets a glow up. I'm still, I just bought the Golden Age Omnibus. I don't even know when, I haven't even gotten to when Alfred first shows up yet. So
Oh wow.
There's quite a bit of time there. As a matter of fact, I already have the Bat Cave thing opened up. Let's see. Oh, so I can't be too far, because he shows up in Batman 16, so that's in 44. So I mean, he doesn't show up for a good 5 years. Worst adaptation of Batman is obviously in Batman the Cape Crusader, where he's pudgy Alfred, and Batman keeps referring to him as Pennyworth.
Yeah, I hate that.
The only person who can call him Pennyworth is Damian Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody else just as condescending. That's fine. I would assume if Ra's al Ghul, or if Ra's al Ghul was in the somehow made it into the Batcave, he would also refer to he's always going to call Batman detective, and he would probably, if he doesn't call him the butler, he would probably call him Pennyworth. But we about an hour and a half into this. I think we really covered, because I don't really want to get into the vehicles, because we're going to do that next week. Final thoughts about about Wayne Manor or the Batcave?
I think it breaks for me when it comes to Wayne Manor and it comes to the Batcave. They are in it. They are characters unto themselves within Batman, and any taking away and moving Batman away from both of those staple characters within, I think, takes away from Batman as the character itself. So again, going and putting them inside of Wayne Towers in that penthouse, I think takes away from Batman himself.
I agree 100%. The cave, the manor, their characters, and they also, like when we were talking about Alfred, that the cave is an example of him and making his contributions to the team. That's where they train. That's where everything. It's such an important part, and anytime that the cave is violated by one of the villains, it's a big deal. And I mean, it is just out of any character that has their little HQ or anything, the Batcave is by far the absolute best one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe second just to the X Mansion. That's the only thing I can think.
Yeah. But I mean, they're totally similar. It's one of those things that we talked about yesterday. They should be a reflection of the duality of Bruce Wayne and Batman. So you have this well-respected facade above ground where Alfred, and that's another thing too. Alfred transcends both, because people like to say, oh, Batman's two people. No, they're just two sides of Bruce Wayne. Alfred transcends both because he helped nurture both. He helped raise Bruce, and then he helps him in his Batmaning. So very much on top, where you have this facade of this kind of checked out billionaire who is this playboy, philanthropist, but doesn't really get involved too much. He wants to do good for the city, but because his family did good for the city. But if anything, he'll hold like a fundraiser. Wayne Industries very much is trying to advance technology, and there's various charities, and he backs certain political figures that he thinks is good for the city, but he's not really on the ground trying to make any definite change. I do like that aspect in the Batman where the mayor, or the mayor elect, is trying to go like, hey, we need to get you more into the public eye. That felt very organic that he would grow into that role. Very much unlike Batman Year One. If you've read that, he steps off that plane and it is immediately. I feel like that's something, if you were gone for 15, 20 years training, you would have to acclimate yourself into doing that. You know what I mean? You would have to be seen in certain rooms and having certain parties, no matter what your name is. But but under that very rich facade, you have Pennyworth being the guy in the chair, being the guy who's giving medical help, or the guy who is helping Batman with the gadgets. And then just under this giant mansion is this giant cave, which is his home base, where this is where Batman is basically on the front lines, taking on the city, doing the things that Bruce Wayne could never do, with the courts can't seem to do, and definitely what the asylums and the penitentiaries aren't doing. And the justice system, just fighting a corrupt city. And they're two sides of a coin that makes Batman who he is. And yes, if you take one away or try to change that or manipulate it, you've somehow spoiled the broth, so to speak. You don't have that pure uncut Batman that we so desire. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I love seeing things where they change it up, but just like good rock and roll music, when you're going back to the chorus, you should always hit back to home. And it doesn't matter what direction you take it. If you want to put him in a penthouse for a little while, that's fine. Eventually you need to get him back to the mansion and back to the cave. And I think we have got it covered. So guys, thank you very much for stopping by and talking with me. Emerald, what do you got going on for the rest of the week?
Well, let's see. In about an hour, I'm going to be over on Theo Snodgrass's channel doing Touch Grass with Theo Snodgrass. I'm over there going to be either on screen or behind the scenes as his producer. And then on Tuesday nights at 5:30 PST, I have Nerds Covering the News, which is a new show, which is a Rumble exclusive. And then on Friday at 9:30 PST, 12:30 AM EST, I have Insert Title Here show.
Love Insert Title Here. Yes, guys, if you haven't checked out Theo's show as well, do yourself a favor. It is a blast. Iron, what do you got going on?
I'll also be joining over there for Theo Snodgrass Touch Grass here in about an hour. I will be doing moving the weekly Rogues Gallery into two parts. The Friday show is going to be rebranded the Weekend Rogues Gallery, and then we're going to start a show on Wednesdays, same time, 5:35 p.m. PST, and go from there. That way we can bring in more people and also try to cut down on how many people we have one show. So 2 days, more people, less large chaotic panels, and more guests. Hopefully this Friday we're going to have Camelot, just waiting on final confirmation for that. That's going to be a lot of fun talking about the whole NASCAR adventure he's had going. And let's see. I believe that's it. You can follow me on X, and I'll post any updates. If I happen to be joining any other shows like this one, I love hanging out. I will definitely share them out. And this is a great show. I've watched both episodes. Really enjoy your take on the whole thing. So keep it going, man. It's really good.
Oh, well, you are welcome anytime, sir. Yes, please follow my panelists. Their information on X is in the description on the show here, and I myself will be gathering news stories to give you some of the hardest hitting news this Sunday night. 9 p.m. EST. In other news, is returning with episode 18. I've yet to know what the title is going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be just as bombastic as anything else. I believe last week's title was Baby's First Vape, and we're we're just gonna keep going with that. And other than that, we got nothing going on. Please, my friend and one of the best moderators in the game, Jacob, thank you so much for all your work. And Scooby Pup, please, she's celebrating her birthday today. She's having a podcast or podcast, so stop by, show her some love. Chat, you've been absolutely wonderful, and we will see you next weekend, where we will be talking about Batman's vehicles and all the wonderful toys. So tune in. Same bat time, same bat channel. Take it easy, guys.
You want to get some? Come on.
Yes, Batman, clad in the somber costume which has struck terror to the heart of many a swaggering denizen of the underworld.
Bob? Done.
Holy CinemaScope! Holy miscast Batman! Holy movie mogul! Holy cliffhangers Batman! Holy suborbit Batman! It's raining down there! Holy history! Holy catastrophes Batman! Holy bullseye Batman! Holy stereo! Listen to this! Holy armadillos! Holy Krypton! Holy trampoline! Holy fork in the road! Holy Titanic Batman! Holy Houdini! Holy funny bone to jar! Holy chutzpah! Holy precision! Come on, boys!
Tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel.
The monster who took you from me will soon learn that revenge is a dish best served cold.